And that will not be allowed. Just random growling for no reason.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, let's go. Again, this goes back to making sure that he's a little bit more concerned about what you think about his actions than his impulses.
Okay.
So this is what you have to watch out for, especially if he's a dog that's allowed on furniture. He's going to try to default to something else as an avoidance technique. So if I need to, I'll pick up the leash, but I'm not going to pull him at all.
Okay.
So like, I'll hold it, that way I can keep him from going that way. And him knowing that I can hold it, because again, he's not dumb. Let's go. Nico, let's go. Nope, let's go. There you go, good boy. Come here. No, let's go. There you go. That's the rules. No, no, let's go. Nico, let's go. Yeah, like if you can't do something this simple when there's nothing happening, no. Like he's gonna lose his shit when you have a harder situation.
True. So,
you're practicing for game day, basically. So this is why the structure part of your structure and boundaries in the home is so important. It has to be every day. It has to be a way of life. If it's not, it's like showing up to the Super Bowl and not practicing all season. Yeah. Like you're gonna get smashed when it's game day because the other team has been practicing, And he's been, in a sense, he's been practicing, but he's been practicing the behaviors that you don't want. But they're subtle and they're not as big of a problem because he's not going over threshold. But then it becomes like the whole, like, a kid who always has a messy room, but then you have, company coming over and you're like, go clean your room. And the kid's gonna be like, oh, now you want me to do it? Because grandma's coming over. Let's go. And that will not be allowed. Just random growling for no reason.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, let's go. Again, this goes back to making sure that he's a little bit more concerned about what you think about his actions than his impulses.
Okay.
Totally irrational growl.
Yeah.
If there was something that was like actually making him uncomfortable, if he was on place and there was another dog being super obnoxious and he's growling to tell him to back off, that's appropriate. I'm not gonna correct you for that. I'm not gonna take your voice away.
Okay.
But there's nothing over there that should be making you uncomfortable. So like, there's a lot of, in the dog training industry, there's some schools of thought that like never correct a growl because then they'll skip the growl and go right to a bite. And they're correct if you do it with the first example.
Okay.
But there are things that are irrational that just should not be allowed. Like there's like when Barrett, my son, started crawling, Gibbs was oblivious to the fact he existed in the first place. He's like, okay, there's a weird baby that cries in the house. He can't throw a tennis ball, so he doesn't mean anything to me. Then he started crawling and he's like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
And it made him uncomfortable. He'd be on place and he started growling because he's like, and that's a natural thing for a dog to do. I don't know what that is. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm gonna growl as a way to communicate, don't come any closer so I don't have to escalate past that growl.
Okay.
I allowed him to do that to an extent. But I also allowed him to learn, for one, I managed it. That's part of the steps in this process. You have to manage it by, in that case, I'm not gonna allow my kid to go crawl over on top of him and make him that uncomfortable to where he feels like he has to do anything extra.
Yeah.
You can voice your concern, sure. But if I tell you to stop voicing your concern because I got it, I need you to defer to me. Because you're a dog and you don't understand this human environment that you're living in, but I do.
Okay.
So I need you to maintain the skill set of being able to listen to me and trust me. If he feels like he has to only trust in himself, that's when they make incorrect decisions. And I allowed Gibbs to learn that if my back is turned and Barrett, because he started crawling quicker and quicker, if he makes it over there, you're allowed to get off place. In fact, you're expected to. Your first line of defense should be to make your own space. That gives us a buffer. So I allowed him to learn that. Problem mostly solved. I'm still doing my job as a parent and making sure that my kid is not doing anything inappropriate with him to make him more uncomfortable. But he needed to know he had recourse. He wasn't locked down there and cornered. Then, once I knew he knew all that stuff, if Barrett was way over on this side of the room crawling and Gibbs is way over here and he growls, I'm gonna correct you for that. That's irrational now.
Okay.
There's no reason why that should make you uncomfortable. I'm gonna increase your tolerance level and your threshold there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So the same thing with that. Like, I don't know if it was the dog he saw over there or Aaron moving around. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, there's nothing happening over there that has anything to do with
Right.
you. So I'm gonna tell you, don't worry about it. I got it.
Okay.
And then you bring him back down to earth.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul. Okay. And ideally, like, you let him go check out the thing that he was uncomfortable about if you can.
Yeah.
If you can ensure that's gonna be a positive experience. So let's say that was a person that came into the home and he was growling. I'm gonna say no, because I don't want you to do that. But that's not gonna fix it. That's gonna
Right.
decrease the likelihood of him growling, but that's not gonna change his opinion of the person coming into the home.
Okay.
So then what you need to do is that person needs to start tossing him hot dogs and then leave him alone.
Okay.
Like, he's growling because he's probably like, I don't know you, I don't like you, I don't trust you, don't interact with me.
Yes.
So if they come interact with him when he just told you,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is my opinion of you, it'd be like, being at the bar and there's that drunk guy that won't back up and you're like, dude, get out of my face. And he won't,
Yeah.
and he gets knocked out, that's on him.
Right. Right.
Most people are gonna give you plenty of warning.
That's what we were doing with the girls who were over that he was losing his shit about. They're like, all right, just come in and throw him hot dogs.
Yeah, because like, and this is always like, case by case with, dog to dog, how they feel about it's always gonna be a little bit different. But for him, like, I don't know you, you're not in my family,
Yeah.
so I don't trust you. So there's no reason why anybody should be trying to pet him.
Okay.
But they should be doing something to change his opinion of what it's like when people come in.
Yeah.
So he's learning then, they're not gonna bother me.
Okay.
That's what he wants.
It is.
And they're gonna give me hot dogs.
He doesn't want to meet
And
anybody
if you
else.
do that consistently over a long enough time, you may end up creating a monster where he's like, I want you to bother me and give me hot dogs.
Okay.
Because that's always what happens and it always ends well. But you have to outcompete the previous repetitions of him being uncomfortable, which, again, classical conditioning, it's happening whether you're aware of it or not. So you don't know what that number is to beat.
Okay.
So that you manage it, you make sure that there's zero chance that he can have an unpleasant interaction with the person, and 100% chance that every interaction that he has goes exactly how you want it to go.
Okay.
Which is, you can't bite them. That's just a prerequisite for life for a dog.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna make it possible for you to bite them, whether you do that through physical separation with a gate, a muzzle, him being on a leash, and the person ideally not being an idiot and reaching their hands out towards them.
Right.
Whatever measures you have to take, make it physically impossible for that to happen. And then think about those thresholds. If a person, walks up to hand him a hot dog,
Right.
he's likely going to be like, you're still reaching towards me.
I agree about
There's
that.
plenty of dogs that like, and I've had clients tell me like their dog bit the vet. The vet should have known better because they worked with dogs all day, but whatever. I can make a whole nother video series about that. But like, I'm growling because I don't want you to reach towards me. What do? We go approach dogs, we're squared up with them, which is already confrontational. We're over top of them, which is confrontational. I'm reaching towards them. All those things they don't want,
Especially now.
Yeah, so you figure out where that threshold is, and if it's this far away, and they just toss him a hot dog, he's oblivious to it.
I know.
But like, sometimes that's what you have to do, and then you can increase his tolerance of it. Good boy, yeah, he'll take these all day. He's not really willing to work for him right now.
I know.
And in a perfect world, what you would do is like not feed him the day before people came over, or only hand feed him in the same kind of routine, so that he's already kind of primed and ready. And then it's just not you guys doing it, somebody else, but everything else is the same.
Okay.
So like in the bite work world, they talk a lot about like high threshold and low threshold dogs, meaning like how much stress can a dog tolerate before they go over threshold. And so if you had a low threshold dog, meaning you couldn't apply a whole lot of stress to them before they went over threshold, then you have to work them in their kind of like play drive a lot first. Basically what you're doing is you're creating a very repeatable pattern that they love. It's a game. There's zero stress. It's just, but yeah, so you guys could do this. You could knock on the door, come in, throw a bunch of hot dogs, walk away. What you expect other people to do. So you're keeping him like in the rhythm, in the routine of like, this is what it's like, and it's this game. And then you change one variable, which is now instead of me, it's somebody else. So the stress level goes up because it's an unknown variable to him, and that's all like relative to that dog, what is stressful. But just it being someone that is not you guys is gonna elevate the stress level. But if it's the same picture that he's used to seeing, like he will be able to tolerate that stress because only one thing changed.
Okay.
When everything changes at once, it's overwhelming.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking like when you said the doorbell, like that ultimately should mean when they hear that should be placed. Is that where we should start? Is like just the training, 5 minutes a day, ringing the doorbell.
Yeah.
And having them
start the classical conditioning process now, so that if his head immediately goes to like, oh, somebody knocked on the door, somebody rang on the door, the likelihood is highest that it's mom or dad about to come in and give me some ice cream. Then that's where his head is at, and then now he's like on a scale of like confident to insecure. He's very confident in how it's going to go. His confidence will drop when an unknown variable gets introduced, which is the other person, but he's not already starting here. Okay. Where right now he's starting at doorbell equals bad, and then you're already at the bottom of the hole, and you're spending the whole time trying to climb your way out.
Yeah.